Board of County Commissioners, 9 session. We'll begin with a prayer followed by the pledge. Commissioner Jones, if you lead us in prayer, please.
Yes, sir. Heavenly Father, we thank you today for this day that you've given us. We thank you for this time you've given us to meet together. God, we thank you for the people, the residents, the visitors to Franklin County. Father, we ask that you would give us wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, Lord, to do what is the very best thing to do, not just always what's the most prudent or what is the most popular. We thank you for discretion in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda will be approval of minutes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Next will be payment of county bills. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries also. Next on the agenda will be Mr. Howard Neighbors, Superintendent of Public Works.
Good morning. How y'all doing? How long did I have this morning? I got a three items here. We've been out, some of the crews have been out for the holidays and stuff. We got a full crew this morning, so we got a lot of litter pickup and a lot of messy road, Lime Rock Road, that we start on fixing today and policing up. So.
Anything from Mr. Howard from the board? We got one thing, Howard, somebody ran off the curb out here on Bluff Road, tore all the signs down. Need to look at that and see what it's gonna cost to replace those signs.
Okay.
And I'll get county staff to get with the sheriff's department. I know that the sheriff is aware of who caused the damage and see if we can't recoup the cost of those signs.
Okay.
Every sign out there has been tore down.
I seen that a few days ago when somebody went through the cemetery, it looked like.
Yeah, they went through the cemetery a little bit and then ended up in the ditch, but all those signs have to be replaced, and
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's the taxpayer's responsibility to do that.
I'll take care of it.
So, Mr. Morone, if you would get with the sheriff, see who done that, and if we can recoup the cost of these signs through insurance on that vehicle, whoever it was that run through there.
I got one more item on our dump trucks we talked about back at the budget time. It was leasing some, trade one of our older ones in, but I had to have the board's approval before I could, trade one of them trucks in on it. Which the older trucks, if you get them fixed, if you send them to the shop, we gotta have new beds, you're looking probably $45,000 to $60,000 to fix and redo, one of the trucks. Then you still got a 15-year-old truck, so.
You got it in your budget, right?
Yeah, we're gonna trade one of our old ones in, it ain't gonna cost us nothing. It's $12,000 a year, it'd be 2 dump trucks, which is $24,000 a year, and you get to keep the dump trucks for 13 months. And then at the end of that time, they bring you another 2 brand new trucks, so.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lockley, second by Commissioner Massey. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Anything else, Mr. Howard, from the board? Thank you, Howard.
Thank you.
Next will be Mr. Fonda Davis, Solid Waste Director.
Happy New Year, Commissioner. Only, I just want to update y'all on the compact, the transfer station we took, it come in, I think it was last Thursday, so, but they hadn't, it's not operable yet. It'll be back towards the end of the month before we get it ready. That's all I have for the board this morning.
Any comments from the board members to Mr. Davis? Thank you, Fonda.
Thank you all.
Next will be Ms. Pam Burnell, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I do not have any action items, but just to let y'all know that we'll be out in the community handing out blankets to people that need blankets, because we have a whole trailer full that was donated to us from the Baptist Church and Franklin's Promise that they had gotten. So we have a trailer full of those. So we had already went over and seen the two homeless that I know of that's over in East Point, which I'm sure y'all aware of, hang around the service station. We handed them out blankets the first cold spell we had. So we're gonna load up our truck and try to go out in the community and see who needs blankets.
We got two down at the pavilion there to care about.
I heard about that, and Tamara told me one of them won't take anything from you, but we're gonna try
Just,
today.
no, lay it on the table and he'll take it.
Okay, that's what
Set
we'll
it
do
on the
then.
table and he'll take it.
We'll do that, and we'll get some more ready meals that Franklin Promises have, and we'll put those out there too, because that's what we did for the two over on East Point a couple weeks ago when we had that first cold snap.
Yeah, I carried him a little heater down there yesterday and where he could put it in that little building he's staying in.
Is that building got electricity?
No, I got one of them little gas heaters.
Oh, okay.
Any comments from Ms. Pam for the board?
I ain't home, but you can hang one up in the
We did get paid by the Wakulla Sheriff's Office for our cots and our linens that we loaned them back during Hurricane Irma. Unfortunately, everything is back ordered. We have the money, but we can't get the bedding for our cots that we have or our new cots because they're back ordered. So we'll be working on trying to get those. Originally, those were our cold weather shelters. So we don't even have the supplies to even open a cold weather shelter at this point. And the Red Cross does not do cold weather shelters. But we'll do what we can for our community. We just, if anybody, come out to my office. If I can't find you, then they can come out to the office. We got, like I said, we got a whole trailer slam full of those blankets to give away for the county.
Any comments from the board members, Ms. Pam?
Put that on, I guess you can put it on the radio,
We will.
not in the paper.
Mr. Chairman, I have one comment. I didn't think about it a minute ago, Ms. Pam. I don't know that it would help, or I'm not trying to mix the two, but I know the school has a homeless liaison for kids that they know of, so they might be able to help us out with finding some people that do need blankets. Miss Sammy Stoltz down the way at the main office, just to make sure you're aware.
Yep, we'll check that.
Okay.
Any other comments from the board members? Thank you, Ms. Pam. Next will be Mr. Eric Lovestrand, Extension Office Director.
Good morning, Commissioners. Happy New Year. I had a short report, and I don't have any action items for you folks this morning.
Any comments from the board members, Mr. Eric, being there's no action items? No comments from the board members? Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Next on the agenda will be public comments. Come forward, state your name for the record.
Good morning, Donna Butterfield. I have a suggestion that I think would really help the voters of Franklin County with one of Commissioner Sanders' favorite projects, which is Government in the Sunshine. So it's nice to be able to have comments ahead of time and somebody doesn't have to wait, for 4 hours to express their opinion. What I would like to request is that when Michael Marone or anybody on the staff has a request for action, that it be put on the agenda, which you can access on the web page. Pam Brunell is a good example. She says no action items, and that's on the web page. We don't get Michael's report until we come here physically. When he has requests from the commission that requires a vote, I would request that he just put a little dot underneath Michael Marone report so that we can be aware of what is happening. Best example I can give you is when poor Michael had to present the request from Weems CEO to access several $100,000 worth of the trust fund money. And then Commissioner Lockley moved to close the contract with Tallahassee Memorial. Those are major, major big deals. And I would request that those items be agended. I also would request that if possible, if Michael could put his report on the webpage before the meetings, that it would be beneficial to the people here to know what our county commissions are having to deal with. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
No, so,
Actually, Commissioners, that wouldn't be a problem, except for I wouldn't get it on, and they can tell you, Ms. Butterfield, my report usually isn't done until Monday, probably after lunch, because it's fluid, it's always
I
changing.
figured, I understand that, Michael.
That's why the public gets a version on Thursday so that they can review, and usually it's, I mean, I'm the guilty one, it's my report that holds up the final version of the packet. But I could, as I put it in Dropbox for you guys, so you can get it on your tablets, I could also just overwrite the one that's on the website and put that there too. I mean, it's not a problem. It's just, you know, again, you won't see it until Monday afternoon, late sometime.
I totally understand that. I'm not trying to put more pressure on you. You've got enough already.
It's fine.
But I'm just saying that if, under your report, it says, you know, Michael Marone, County Coordinator, report, action,
Well, yeah.
trust fund for Weems,
And
you know.
in all honesty, I've something to learn from Mr. Pierce. The key phrase is when you see me start off with board, what do we say, board action or board something required, and we start our narrative, you know.
Right.
That's how you know it's going to require, whatever it is going to require action. I can, you know, bold it, whatever, just so it gets your attention, you know, as we put on the report. If the board is fine with that, I have no problem with that. It's no problem.
Board?
It's just a matter of uploading, like I said, taking the version you guys got and overwriting the one that's on the website. That's basically what it is, Commissioners. No, and there is times even then, because the clerk's office is actually Lori's who uploads the packet. Sometimes I'm here after 5 and I got a call or email. Even then, I have to redo my report, and then I put out printed copies, you know, of that. So that's the last thing I do.
Right.
But, you know, I'll try my best and see how it works out if the board has no problems with it.
I don't have no problem with it.
Okay. All right, well, we'll do that.
All right, thank you very much.
Any other public comment? We'll move on down to, well, we're supposed to have a public hearing at 9:30, but we can't do that until 9:30, correct?
Yeah.
Is Ms. Ginger here? Please come forward, we'll go ahead and take your action item there. Please state your name for the record.
Good morning and Happy New Year. Ginger Coulter, Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Good to see y'all. I'm still a little bit in a vacation mode, to be honest. I took a few days off for the holidays and I wasn't quite ready to come back to work, but here we are, first thing. What I'm here about are two things, actually, and I'm sorry I was in a haste because, like I said, I was off, and I forgot to bring the information from the last fiscal year, the FEMA amount and the school board amount. Do you have that by chance with you, Michael? And I do apologize, I forgot that information. But that's kind of been hanging out there from last year to ask to have that remain in the budget from last year. The FEMA funds where we received the FEMA check to offset the FEMA from the most recent hurricane that we had. It helped offset the overtime that we had for that, as well as the school resource reimbursement.
What you got based on the email, you got 2 payments of $15,000 from the charter school. Oh, I'm sorry. In fact, let me take it up down. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, Michael.
Mike, we have no information.
No, what I asked, but I didn't realize Ginger was on vacation, is if you remember the last time she came in front of you guys, she did a list
Right.
of funds that she would like to keep, and then at the bottom of that, she did kind of an explanation of what projects they would like it for. And I sent her, I asked her to do that last week, not knowing she was on vacation. So yesterday, she sent me an email saying that she just got back and she saw that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, Ginger, they will need to see a list.
I've got a list for this budget year, but for the previous budget year, they had already approved it. It just, because we didn't have the FEMA reimbursement yet, and I wasn't sure about the ABs of the school resource, we hadn't received that reimbursement yet. I didn't have an amount, but it was already approved at that meeting. I just didn't have the amounts at that time.
Okay, so if the sheriff is all right with this and the board is also, I recommend let Ginger, myself, and maybe Linda from the finance office get together and create an accurate list for you guys of the funds that they want to keep and what they want to spend these funds on. And maybe I put her on the next agenda. I know,
Well, this is for last night. I have a list for the proposed changes for this year. I do have a list for that. I'm prepared for that. I just forgot to bring one from the last
Okay.
one.
We're still doing stuff from last year?
yes, because it's a couple of things. There's a FEMA payment that went back to, correct me, I got so.
It came in at the end of September.
And then there's a,
for Hermine in 2016.
Right.
but they want to use it to pay
But
for
we,
Irma
but we
all the
had
time.
the Irma,
Yeah.
and we're in the process of filing our FEMA claim for Irma. So when that comes in,
That goes back to the board.
Right.
Yes. And then what I was not aware of is that the sheriff had started back a process of recapping some money for the resource officers at the two schools. Apparently, this is an old practice that was there. It stopped under a previous sheriff because the schools didn't have enough funds, but this Sheriff Smith started it back because he identified that they had funds that they could help pay for the SRO. So that money really comes to the county because you fund those positions in the sheriff's budget, you see? So if he wants to use that money, he needs that money for something, that's a request which Ginger's here
And
to
the board
do.
has to approve it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, because it's
Correct.
actually your money, you're being refunded. But however, I don't want to make it more confusing than it has to be. And that's why I would prefer that we have a list of all the funds, their sources, where they're coming from, and then what they want to spend these funds on in front of you before you do too much discussion.
We're not gonna be able to take no action without no information.
I know.
Or we shouldn't.
And no reflection on Ginger, but our next meeting, I'm telling you, you're gonna be here a long time. You have your Board of Adjustment, you have your Planning and Zoning, and you have 2 public hearings, one of which is gonna take a very long time because I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of public input on that particular one. So I can get it in on the next agenda, just know that it's gonna be a long day. I'll get it as early as possible, if that's what you prefer, unless you wanna see what she has today, and then the money, what's not included in the list that they also wanna keep, we address it at a different time. That's up to you.
yeah, I have the 2018 if y'all want to go ahead and look at that, so that we can at least get that
Let's go ahead
covered.
and look at it all at one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the way I would like to see it. I would like to go ahead and see that when it comes all up there at one time at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then, that's the way we need to take care of it. So I'm gonna make a motion that we table this until the next meeting and put it on the agenda as early as you can.
I will, I'll put it like first thing.
And
Yeah.
that's my motion.
Okay, and Ginger, we'll see that, because what you did the last time worked out really well. It did.
Right, and it's on that same thing, and all I have to do is go back and find my email and see where I emailed that, because it's in that email.
Yeah,
I just
I'll-
forgot to print
I
that
wasn't
out.
sure if Linda has it. I'll have to send it to
Okay,
you, yeah.
and I'm gonna leave this other information here so that they can have it, and they can be looking at it and see what we're gonna be looking at for asking for this next one, so
Okay.
you'll
All right,
kind
so I
of,
got-
and that way, if you have any questions, you'll know in advance what
We can
questions you might
call
wanna
you.
ask
Yeah,
me. Correct,
exactly.
yes.
That'll work
Okay,
really well.
all right,
Okay.
thank you.
I'll try and get with you later this
But I made a motion.
Second.
Thank
We
you,
have a
Mike.
motion on the floor by Commissioner Sanders, second by Commissioner Jones. Any further discussion? All those in favor? All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Michael, if you can forward us all this information ahead of time,
That's,
last year's we're going back to, and then this year.
Because I don't remember.
I'll get with you, we'll do a comprehensive list of the funds, that's basically board funds and what they want to keep and what they want to use it for. So there's a clear cut, of what it is.
Bottom line, all of it go through the county office, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want,
It's just
Alan, you got a comment?
Well, I was just saying, on the FEMA thing, it is very frustrating because the FEMA that they're getting money for now is money from 2016. That's how slow FEMA was in reimbursing. So the sheriff had to front money for overtime out of his budget, or he borrowed it from the board. I don't know quite what happened. I mean, we can find out what happened in 2016, but there was this money that we had, the officers got paid for overtime. FEMA finally in 2017 gives the money, but it was in 2017 last fiscal year. So we got to, he's already spent the money, so what he wants to do is use the money from Hermine to reimburse himself for the money that he had to spend in Irma. And when Irma money comes in, then Irma will come to you all. Yeah. So FEMA's almost a year behind in reimbursing, so we're almost a budget behind every time with FEMA.
On some projects, they're over a year.
Right. And so when the clerk's office gets FEMA money in, at the end of the year, you have those budget amendments, and that's basically what we're doing here with the sheriff on that FEMA stuff.
Okay.
We're good?
Yeah. Next on the agenda. We got 10 minutes. Ms. Moore, are you present? Guardian ad litem?
She is not here, but I'm representing her until she shows up. My name is Mike O'Connell, and my wife Pat and I have been guardian ad litem volunteers for 15 years. We live on the island. First of all, I just want to thank all of you for your service and serving in your positions. The guardian ad litem program is based on an appointment by the judge of a guardian ad litem volunteer to look out for the best interests of the child when the child has either been removed from the home or the child has been placed in foster care, and that's what we do. And I know that Deborah, really what she wanted to do today was to request, if you guys are talking about this anywhere, to get volunteers. We really need more volunteers to serve as guardian ad litems, particularly retired people, because my wife and I are retired. We've lived on the island for 15 years, and we do it as a team, so that really helps us spend some time together too. So if you know of any retired people, I know we're always looking for volunteers for the guardian ad litem. It's a big commitment, but it's not overwhelming. You just have to do a report every month. You're appointed by the judge, and do a written report back to the judge, back to the Department of Children and Family Services, and look out for the best interest of the child. I don't know what Deborah specifically had, but that's a little bit about the program, and I know she was going to request from volunteers and everything, and I appreciate your support in the past of the program. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
I don't see Ms. Belcher here. And when she's coming, she's going to ask you for approval for there's one contract, one final contract, I think, from that old set of money. So I guess
Just take a recess.
we could move on to.
Al?
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson, do you have a report?
I don't have a report. Good to see you, Ms. Marshall.
My report's short, I did type it up this morning, so you'll get it online eventually. Item number one, inform the board this Triumph Board meeting will occur here on January 29th, starting at 1 p.m. It will be Senator Don Gates' first meeting as Triumph Board Chairman. I'm not sure if all the Triumph staff have been hired, so I do not know if there's been any review or any of the pre-applications. When I checked my emails this morning, I didn't see any indication from Triumph staff, their executive director, there's been any action on anything, so I'm not sure how much activity we'll get out of the first meeting. But Mr. Chairman, if you could be available at 1 p.m. to welcome everybody here, that's the role we've been seeing in other meetings. Okay. And usually the meeting lasts about an hour, especially if there's not any review. They just kind of go through
Formality.
It's going to be right here. It'll be right here, yes, sir. And they'll be sitting up here. If you want to attend, you'll be out in the audience. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and I don't know how many people will be here. Item number 2, inform the board the consultants of the consortium filed the state expenditure plan, or SEP, on December 22nd. There's a 30-day window for public comment, and then depending on the volume of public comment, the consultants may have to do more work before the consortium can submit the SEP to the governor. Once the governor receives the plan, then his office submits the SEP to the Gulf Council for approval. The governor has said he wants to submit the SEP by spring, but there is no timeline on how fast the Gulf Council will approve the plan.
And Commissioner Sanders, you'll be getting the one hard copy of this plan. It's 487 pages long. I had them send it to the courthouse address so we can just let Lori carry it around for us. It's going to be one thick document. There's an electronic version, Lori. As soon as I figure out how to get it over to you, I will. The consortium, again, I don't have any idea how long it's going to take for this to get through the system. I don't know if, Mr. Sanders, you've heard any word. I'm not even sure when the next consortium meeting is. I don't think it's going to be in January because you won't even have the public comment.
I think there's a phone conference in between these. Yeah, I think that's the way they left it, with the phone conference. I think everybody's basically starting to get all of it and looking through it and stuff, so we'll just see.
Okay, and that's my report. Is there any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Alan, the board is getting beat up a little bit about East Point Channel again. Could you give us the scenario on what is supposed to happen with the East Point Channel? I know we have it in there as one of our projects.
It is, as a matter of fact. So the good news about the East Point Channel, as opposed to any other channel the county is responsible for, such as the 2-mile channel, the East Point Channel has a permit, has an active, valid permit from the Corps of Engineers and the state of Florida to dredge the East Point Channel. The permit was extended for another 5 years, so if this is 2018 now, I think the permit is good till 2020 or 21. We have in the state expenditure plan a request for, I think it's $3 million to dredge the East Point Channel. And so that's the holdup. We'd hope the Congress would approve money, we hope the Corps of Engineers would put it in their budget, but both those entities, knowing Franklin, in my opinion, knowing Franklin County is one of the 8 counties getting money, just won't fund it out of their funds. They just keep saying, well, we know you got money and we're just going to, and we are bigger and we can sit and outweigh you. And that's exactly what they've done. They've outweighed us until we are finally having to use our money for what has been previously a federally funded project. And this, unfortunately, is probably a pattern, and I say this to everybody, that we're going to see in the next few years as this consortium and restore money comes in. Other entities are going to say, oh, well, you got money, you do it on your dime, even though in the past it's always been done by the federal government. So we have to have used $3 million of consortium money to get the East Point Channel dredged, and the timeline is really contingent upon when the governor can get this plan to the Gulf Council, when the Gulf Council approves it, and then how fast money flows into the different county projects. And I don't have the plan in front of me, but I will tell you that it won't, this is only bad news. I hate to start the new year with bad news, but if the governor gets the plan in spring, I don't see the council, Gulf Council is a federal agency dealing with it until the summer. It's going to be at least 2019 before we know where things stand. So I suspect we have another year to wait before we know the timeline for getting East Point Channel dredged. But it's in there, and then the next project that's in there is the 2-mile channel. But there we have to get a permit and we have to prepare our disposal area. So that's going to be behind the East Point Channel. But both those are in there.
It took us a long time negotiating with the state and federal government for them to allow us for the channel spoil to be able to be put on the back side of the breakwater. So,
yes.
I mean, we've accomplished a lot. It's just we're waiting for the money to come in, and there's no way, that we can do it until the money gets in here. We've got everything, the permit and everything, but I just want the people to know that we are not just sitting on our behinds, not doing nothing about it.
No, because again, this is a project that, and the community who's lived here a long time has known that in the last, all the times the East Point Channel has been dredged, it's been judged by the Corps of Engineers with federal money. And we had it before Katrina, and then the Corps of Engineers used the money that was dedicated by Congress for that channel in Katrina, and then they didn't ever put it back. And now 10 years after Katrina, or 15 years after Katrina, they say, oh, you got some BP money, and they haven't verbalized this to me, but I can just read between the lines. It's never being funded, and I know it's never being funded because they know we have another funding source.
Well, if you'll remember back when we had the appropriation of $1.5 million to do East Point Channel, and then they sent the money and gave it to the Corps when Katrina hit in 2005, around 2005. Then that was after that the federal government decided they wasn't going to do the port barrel.
Right, they wouldn't let you
earmark.
Right, they wouldn't let the Corps
all that. So, the thing about it is this has, as you said earlier, this has always been a federally funded project, always. And now it's shifted the cost to the local government.
Some of the criticism we've been getting, and Alan, and you need to, I guess, clear this up too, Commissioners, you all know, you hear, well, why are y'all spending money at Else Court and you're not doing the East Point Channel? Why are y'all spending money on
Dale's Court don't have nothing to do with it.
It's a separate funding, and that's the one thing I want Alan to address, because it's the NERDA projects, all these, there's just a different funding source, and we can't